A Trump-appointed federal judge is now a Trump-appointed former federal judge after being forced to resign following an investigation that found that this judge had engaged in improper sexual contact with one of his law clerks. So here's what happened with this particular story. This was federal judge Joshua Kindred of the Alaska Federal District Court. The Judicial Council had launched an investigation after there were complaints about his behavior, creating a hostile work environment for some of his employees. And it was found that one of these clerks, he had been engaged with multiple times inappropriate and unwanted contact with this woman. In fact, in one of these incidents, here's how this woman described it to the investigators. He started putting his hands on me, and so I remember the first time he grabbed my boob and I grabbed his forearm, and I remember thinking he felt really strong and I tried to pull his arm off me. I just remember thinking there's nothing I can do about this. This is about to happen. I remember him saying something about it finally, because I remember just feeling, yeah, finally, you win the game. I always felt like this thing that he couldn't touch, and finally he felt like he could touch. He took my pants off. I'm pretty sure I was still wearing a shirt. And then he performed a sexual act on her. Again, the Judicial Council engaged in an investigation. They determined that Kindred's account of the events, they said, was not supported by the facts that they uncovered during their investigation. Kindred maintains none of this happened, right? The staffer was in fact the one who came on to me. Here's his statement. I was not the aggressor. I was not overbearing. I was honest with the law clerk as to the difficult place I was in. I wish that I would have been stronger and that I would have handled myself in a more respectable manner. This brief romantic interlude, while it should have been avoided, was not at all as described. But he resigned, right? Okay, I'll go ahead and leave, although I did nothing wrong. So there it is. This individual was appointed to the federal bench by Donald Trump in the year 2020, so his final year in office. Donald Trump says, this is the guy I want on the federal bench. Now, all of this behavior allegedly took place after he had been on the bench for about a year or two, starting in 2022. So maybe Trump didn't know this was the kind of guy he was. I mean, obviously, if there were no previous complaints of this, Trump would have no idea. But it does seem odd, right, that a guy like Donald Trump ends up picking a guy like this that seems to be, based on the Access Hollywood tape, a lot like him. I mean, I guess it's a coincidence, but it also doesn't quite feel like a coincidence. These people are just randomly attracted to one another, and that's what we're dealing with here. But Judge Kindred's legal problems might not be over yet, because the judge is still facing calls for impeachment from that very Judicial Council. Now, impeachment would have to come from the House and the Senate, given the fact that the Republicans control the House, and, we got the roughly 50-50 split at this point in the Senate. It's unlikely that impeachment would be successful, even though the judge has left the bench, because if you impeach him at this point, that's a big stain on Donald Trump, and there's no way in hell Republicans are going to let that happen during an election year.
One of today's video sponsors is Miracle Made. Did you know that traditional bed sheets can actually harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat? It can lead to acne, allergies, stuffy noses, and it's just plain gross. Miracle Made offers a whole line of self-cleaning antibacterial bedding such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent up to 99.7% of bacteria growth and require up to 3 times less laundry. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, and their sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you get better sleep every night. Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands, and they feel as nice, if not nicer, than bed sheets used by some 5-star hotels. And it's designed for your skin. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne, and you can sleep clean with Miracle. Now, I've been using Miracle Made bed sheets for nearly 2 years now, and I absolutely love them. They help keep me cool throughout the night, which means I get better sleep because I'm not waking up all throughout the night from being too hot. So go to trymiracle.com/ROF to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code ROF at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product that it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/ROF and use the code ROF to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/ROF to treat yourself.